Well, back in the 1980s, I had gotten out of nursing school, and my first job was at Cincinnati Children's Hospital in the NICU. I found myself working hard to save the lives of little premature babies, and it occurred to me that not too far away in the same city, that same gestational age baby was being aborted. I stayed at Children's, I don't know, a year and a half, and it was killing me. I was working third shift and I had two very young children at home. I took a job at a large OB/GYN practice in Cincinnati. So now I was seeing those young mothers who were coming in pregnant and scared to death. I strongly believe that abortion was wrong, but for the first time I really gave thought to it and kind of could sense what these young mothers were going through and why they might choose that option. And I knew that Planned Parenthood was a short walk away from the office where I worked, because I walked past it every day when I went to the hospital to make hospital rounds. God just began speaking to me. You know, I would see picketers in front of Planned Parenthood there, and I respected what they were doing, but it really didn't bring a solution to the girls. You know, it didn't really help the girls figure out what to do or provide a way for them to choose life for their baby. And God just really began to speak to me about, you know, you need something more practical for these girls. If you want them to keep their babies, you've got to provide solutions for them. You've got to provide a means, resources that allow them to think that that truly could be an option to keep their baby. So I spent a long time, maybe up to about a year, praying about it. I started talking to Mark about it. And, you know, God had just fortunately been opening his heart to working with me on this. And, you know, I started looking into what is being done for these young girls who have pregnancies that they don't want. And I saw that there were crisis pregnancy centers at different places around the country. But I realized that we did not have anything here in Northern Kentucky like that. So the idea came to me about how could we open a crisis pregnancy center. I really had no idea how to go about even starting to do that. Well, obviously, to try to do something of that magnitude in your own power and flesh would be a disaster. And, you know, this was something I knew that God laid on my heart, and I had to do it his way, or it would not be successful at all. So Mark and I went to talk to our pastor at the time. We were attending a pretty small local church here in Northern Kentucky, but we had a wonderful pastor. He was immediately, let's see what we can do about this. You know, he just was all on board with it right away. So he actually sent us to a conference that the Southern Baptist Association was giving called How to Start a Crisis Pregnancy Center. And when we brought it before the church body, there were some people who loved the idea, right on board with it, couldn't wait to help and get started, but there was a certain membership of the church, and they were very much against it. We encountered huge opposition. And I remember one man stood up and said, "Look, I pay taxes. Let the government take care of these girls. We don't want them in our church." And I just didn't even know how to respond to that. It was just hard for me to imagine somebody being that hard toward other human beings. But it did pass with a very small majority, and we moved forward with opening the center. But it was a huge source of contention. And that same sort of rear echelon of people who were against the center set out to destroy it. They really did. And they made life so difficult for the pastor that he left the church. I was really under fire, and a lot of lies were told about me. It really was a nightmare. And the bottom line is they kicked me out of the church as well. It was hurtful, to say the least. But, you know, God held me up through that time. He so walked me through that, and he taught me so much through that about life, about how to handle situations, how to handle people when they're against you, how to treat your enemies. You know, so many things that God taught me personally through that time. I'm so glad he brought me through that. It helped prepare me for other things ahead that he had for me. Today they have 3 locations, and they have story after story after story of lives that have been changed. I just cry out to God, wow, thank you so much for using me to start the whole thing, but then taking it from there. We get the benefit of receiving the life that God created instead of having it be aborted in the abortion mill somewhere. So, that's what God did, and I'm overwhelmed every time I think about it. I'm completely overwhelmed and thankful to God.